Well, I'm all for Christmas, all the happy smiles and the wishes, and I want it all from the lights to the mistletoe.
Hi there, this is Luise Heinzel. Thanks for joining me today. I can't sing, but it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. And since you have clicked to this video, I guess, perhaps, maybe, it's a little bit of this Christmas feeling in your craft room as well. I have worked on several different Christmas projects during the past few weeks, and for me, it's definitely Christmas time already in my craft room. And today I would like to share this journal with you. This I have made for the Tim Holtz Idea-Ology Christmas 2023 release. So it's made with all of the new stuff from Idea-Ology. If you don't know about that, or perhaps you are new here or don't know why you are here, perhaps it's your first time on my channel, let's quickly talk about what this is, why I made it, and why you shouldn't be overwhelmed when you see this and the amount of Idea-Ology products that are used here. I am a Tim Holtz maker, and I got these things from Idea-Ology to create something with them, and this is one of my projects. That means in this journal there's a lot of Idea-Ology, and this showcases the Idea-Ology collection. Please don't be overwhelmed if you perhaps have only a few Idea-Ology products. Use them, combine them with other things that you have. If you've never heard about Idea-Ology and this is coincidence that you are here, you can check the collection out. You can look at the things that I have used here, and if you want to have some, of course, please just buy them. But please don't be overwhelmed if even if this is an Idea-Ology make, you can for sure make a similar journal with other materials. Yeah, so I love Idea-Ology, and I think you can already see that when you see this journal. And if you know my channel, you know that I love Idea-Ology, and I have often talked about the things that Idea-Ology products do with my brain, with my creativity, with my ideas. For me, Idea-Ology is a really, really big source of inspiration. I have the feeling that I can create things, especially with Idea-Ology, that I couldn't create without those materials. I come to ideas that are new for me as well. Yeah, so where I think, why do I come to this idea? But that doesn't have to be the same for you. Yeah, if it's the fact for you as well, then I'm happy because I know how that feels, and then I'm happy that you can feel that as well. But that doesn't mean that you can't create something like this with other materials. So yeah, let's talk about this. The first thing is, if you want to know more about my Tim Holtz makes, please check out the description box. I have a whole playlist with all of the other things that I have made for him. There's a whole playlist with all of the videos that are available there. There are some videos that are tutorials or process videos. About this journal, I will not publish, I can't do that, I will explain in a second why, tutorial videos, because my process on this was really chaotic. As you can see, perhaps from here are two things inside that build my pages and the signatures, and I have worked on those parallelly while I have made my second make for the Idea-Ology release at the same time. If I would have filmed this, I had no chance to film it because my time period was so short that I couldn't do like tutorials or something like that, but I will try my best to explain everything that I have done here. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. I will try to answer them then as soon as possible, and I will also I have already planned that to do some tutorial videos about some of the techniques that I have used to make this journal. For example, there will come a tutorial about this rust here that has glitter on it. Perhaps here you can see it a little bit better, this really grungy, rusty, crusty, glittery thing here. I will do a tutorial about this here in a separate video as like an example how I made this. Yeah, so, but that is all I can do for this Idea-Ology release because the time period was just too small for me and my, how my brain works. Sometimes it's just like I want to glue something down and it takes 3 hours until I can decide how and where I want to glue it. And that was like a little problem, and my process was just so chaotic, and I thought I can't show you that because you will run away and scream and Okay, so let's first talk about the main style idea behind this journal. I wanted to have something that is grungy and glittery at the same time. So I've tried to combine grunge and glitter. Let's first talk about the spine of this book. That was the first thing that I created, and that was like my starting point for the rest. You can see this is a curved spine, and this is relatively sturdy. I mean, it's really sturdy, not relatively, it's sturdy. And I made this curve with a little trick, which I want to share with you in a second, because I think sometimes it's hard if you want to have this round spine, that it stays round during your process and during working in the journal. And if you made a round spine and you have a journal where you want to journal in later, then it sometimes can happen when you open the journal that the spine gets flat, gets flat again. To avoid that, there's a really easy and simple trick. Just take a Pringles packaging. I will show you one here. This also looks not original anymore, as you can see, but these Pringles packages. This is a small one. They are also available in a longer size, but here you can see you have this really sturdy silver frame, and it's really thick, and that's exactly what you can see here and on the top of the spine. And I've just cut this bottom part off by going in here with a really sharp craft knife. Please make sure that you don't cut yourself. It's a little hard to get this bottom off, but if you do that carefully, I mean, this material here, this is just the inside. It's just some aluminum, and on the outside it's just sturdy paper. So if you go in here, that the cutting itself is really easy, but to come in there without touching this metal is a little bit tricky, but if you take your time, then that is no problem. And after I had cut this off, I've just measured how long I want, or how wide I want to have this. And then I have taken 2 pieces of this Pringles packaging. One is now here and it goes up like so, and the other one is here and it goes down like so. I only had these small containers here, so that means that I have in the inside a little space left here in the middle, but as you can see, that you can't see it from the inside, and you can only see it a little bit from the you can't see it from the outside, and you can only see it a tiny little bit from the inside, but I've covered that in the inside with some fabric so that it's nearly invisible. And these 2 pieces of the Pringles package I've just glued to the inside of the spine of an old book. So the whole cover is just an old book. I've taken this green window here as the size for the cover pieces, and then I've just cut out the pages from an old book that I already had, and I've just cut it to size like so. This width was by coincidence like, you know, the right width for the window. But what I'm trying to say is just use an old book that you don't read anymore, cut the pages out, and then you have the perfect base for such a journal. And then you can just put the Pringles packages inside, so that this hard material of the package and additionally the material of the book cover itself give you this really sturdy round spine. And I did that because I wanted to have something like a really I wanted to imitate a vintage book, but in an artsy way. Do you know what I mean? So these things here shall be those things that you can find on vintage books as well. I don't know how those are called in English. I even don't know the name in German, but I think that's made with, I mean, originally with some thicker thread, which is underneath the material that is glued to the cover. But here I wanted to have this so that you can read what's written there. And for these quotes here, I've just taken these little guys here from the Idea-Ology release. As you can see, that is really thick material. And when you have that, I mean, of course, you have to cut that down. I have chosen the shorter pieces so that you can still read what is written here. So this says, "Peace on earth, making spirits bright, joy to the world, it's a wonderful life," so that this like makes sense on each of these little strips here. They are available in the longer size. You could, of course, also just, I mean, perhaps you have only one or two of these. That can also be. Then you could, of course, also cut it like so. In the air, there's a feeling of Christmas. You could just divide that and make a sentence from here to here. That would also be possible. I want to quickly talk about how I got these to this round shape. That is relatively easy. Just take 2 fingers and hold this like so, and then take your other hand and start to carefully bend this. So then you can see on the inside, it looks not so nice anymore. Of course, the paper has to go somewhere and you get these little ugly things, but that's not a problem. We won't see these anymore later. But on the front, you can see this is totally intact and now it's round. I do that carefully. Take your time. And of course, here it would be not necessary to do that the whole way. I would cut it then here. And then you have this curve. And this, as you can see, it stays like this. And this way, it's really easy to glue. You could also, if you think this is too thick, yeah, because it's relatively thick. I did this on purpose. I wanted to have it this thick. But if that is too thick for you, you could also take your fingernail or a sharp knife and you can go in here and just separate the layers of this material. Just take this off. You can use that for something else. Look, really cool grunge. And then you would have this, which is way thinner. And then you could glue it here, and then you would have this like a little bit thinner than this. Or what you also could do, if you want to use these on a page in your journal, you could go in here and try to remove only the top layer of this material. That is absolutely no problem. Just peel this off, and then you have this really thin but sturdy material, which you could also then use for a page if you need a quote on your page and you don't want to have bulk. Okay, so that's that. For this rusty, grungy, glittery effect, I have used several different materials. The bottom layer of this is just some rusted fabric that I got from my friend Barbara at 49 Dragonflies. Barbara, here's your fabric. So here you can see how this looked when she has given it to me. She has rusted that. She also has a tutorial on how she did that. I will link that down below for you so that you can check that out. And I really enjoy these little rusty areas here, which are really irregular. That looks really cool. Here you can see a little bit of sewing. That's because the pieces that I had left over from this fabric weren't big enough. So I have sewn 2 pieces together so that I then also have this zigzag stitching here on the spine. I think that gives it really much interest here. And I've paid attention when I glued these that I don't cover this zigzag stitching, so that this is now like an additional decoration here in between of both of these quotes. And after that, I have taken some tea bags and I've just, dried the tea bag, then taken it apart and then removed the tea, and you are left with such a material. This I've sprayed with some distress spray stain and oxide spray vintage photo so that it gets this really, really cool brown. And in some areas, let me show you another example, this turned out relatively yellowish. You know, with the spray stains and oxide sprays, especially with oxide spray or other oxide inks like the ink pads, it can happen that with some materials the colors change a lot. So normally, of course, vintage photo is this brown, and on tea bags it sometimes gets yellow. So I didn't like this effect here so much. So I have taken, to be safe, mainly the pieces of my tea bags which have turned out really brown, so that I was able to create this texture here. I first glued all of the tea bags down here in several layers with some collage medium, and while that was still wet, that is really important, don't wait until it's dry because then you can't do anything anymore. When that was still wet, I went in with my fingernail and the the end of a paintbrush. So I have taken a really thin paintbrush, so like this, and I've taken this part here and I've done it like this so that I could control the shape of this thing here. And after that, I have let that dry, and then I have added some grit paste crypt, that is this stuff here, and it looks like this when it's in the jar. A little bit scary, isn't it? This color is really strange. But when this is dry, it looks really, really amazing. It has these little black thingies in there. They make the grit. And not only those, I think in this gray part of the paste is also some gritty material. Perhaps you can see it there. But this paste is just magic. If you want to hear my experience with this paste and my honest opinion about this, this came out for Halloween, and I have read this name and I have seen it in Tim's videos and in videos of other creators, and I was like, okay, I think I don't need this paste. It scared me a little bit that it has this color, even if I knew that this is not how the color looks when it's dry. The paste looks how it's... No. Even if I know that this is not how the paste will look when it's dry, this color, it scared me. It was like, I don't know. It was weird. And I thought, okay, I have other grit pastes. I don't need this. But then I thought, okay, let's try it. And I bought this jar not so long ago, and you can see how much I already used, not only for this journal, but also for other projects. And I'm totally in love with this paste. It's so amazing, and you can do so many things with this. And of course, I could have used another grit paste here. But the cool thing about this is when it's dry and you haven't inked it all, you haven't inked all of the areas that you have put the paste on, that doesn't really matter. Here, there's all ink over the paste, but here, look, in this upper part here, you can see the naked paste with some glitter on it. And here is some ink. There's brown stuff, there's the grit paste dripped, and then ink. And can you see this difference? And this makes it so much more interesting. But this grayish, greenish color, it looks doesn't look like naked paste. Do you know what I mean? What I'm trying to say is, or here, look, this greenish gray, it looks like it is, yeah, like done on purpose, and it doesn't look like I have forgotten to put the ink here. And that's what makes this paste so interesting for me, because you can reach really grungy and interesting effects just with the paste. In this case, some ink and some glitter. This is only one color of ink. This is only Distress Spray Stain Vintage Photo that I have put on here after I had applied the paste. And that's just amazing. It runs there where it wants to go. You can add some water to let it flow even more. But, you know, you get variation with only the paste and one color of ink. And that's really interesting in my eyes. So here I've colored the whole areas of the grit paste because I wanted to have this really big contrast here on the spine. But you can see, same mediums, two different looks. Okay, do you know what I mean? It's amazing. It's just amazing. Thank you, Ranger. Thank you, Tim. Yeah, so I've additionally added some glitter here. For that, I have used some rock candy. That's this stuff here. And this has surprised me as well. You know, I mean, if you know my channel, you know that I'm not this like glitter fan, glitter crafter. But I thought, let's try new things. Let's buy a jar of this and let's try that out. And you can see, I mean, this is a lot in this jar. But I have already used relatively much from this. I don't know how I can show you that. Look. It's like when I shake it and hold it like so, then it's like empty until here. And that is relatively, I mean, it's a little bit scary because, you know. But I like this effect and I wanted to try grunge and glitter. And I don't know if anyone else has done that before. I have never seen grunge and glitter in combination before. So I thought I want to do that. So for this cover, I have used this green window as a base. Below that, there's some linen tape. I've also used that to cover these edges here of the book cover, and so that it shows here a little bit. And then I have covered nearly the whole front cover with that to let it peek through the windows here. This piece, what you can see here in the background, is just some of the rusted fabric from Barbara, so that I have a little variation from here to here, and that this looks here a little bit different than on the other areas. And here in this window in the middle, there's also some glitter. So when you do it like so, then it looks a little bit like snow. And I have never made something like a shaker card or a shaker element before, so this was my first attempt on that. I know that you could for sure use things for a shaker element that would be like better than this rock candy glitter. This is relatively tiny and you have to pay attention that you glue this element really well so that the glitter can't come out when you shake it. It was relatively hard to do that. I mean, you can't breathe while you have the glitter here and have to glue this down. But I don't have things in my stash that are small enough to fit into this little thing, because the distance here for this little like pocket where the glitter is in now, that was too small to put like sequences or something like that in. And the crazy thing is, after I had finished this and I wanted to take some photos, I found some Christmas ornaments that are made out of glass, and they have those tiny, tiny, tiny stars in them. And I thought, why haven't I thought about those before? Because I could have taken them out to put them in here, to have some stars in here, but that was too late. Perhaps I will do that for my next journal. The tree, this one here and also the other one here on the back, comes from the Idea-Ology collection as well. And perhaps you can see that this shape is a shape that we haven't seen before. So this shape is new. I really like this. This is slimmer as the others. So this is the shape that we knew from the past year's collections. This looks, you know, when you turn it around, you can also make a carrot out of that. It's like a little bit thicker, but these are really, really cool as well. I mean, I love the others as well, but what I love about this is that when you combine several of the trees, you have a really cool variation, because not every tree has the same shape. They are available in different sizes as well, so that you can also make a really cool, like, winter wonderland forest or Christmas tree forest, or you could imitate a collection of these, you know. These are also inspired by these, like, original vintage trees. Oh, they also have a name. The matching stamp set is called bottle brush trees. These are woodland trees, but I think the original vintage things, do they have a special name, or are they also called bottle brush trees? I don't know exactly, but in the original vintage version, this part is green and this wooden stand here is red. And you could also, you know, imitate them in their original color just by spraying them, or you could do whatever you want. And perhaps you also have seen this these carrots that Tim has made out of the trees. Just amazing. So when they come, when you buy them, they are in a really light beige color. So it's a color like this approximately. And you can ink them. So this is inked with Distress Spray Stain. I've used ground espresso. Ooh, is that true? I think ground espresso and a little bit of vintage photo, if I remember that right. But that doesn't matter. Just use the color that you like. I wanted to have my tree brown because, you know, grunge and so on. These little guys here, I've alcohol inked. And then I've splattered to them with a little bit of white paint. Some moss here and some of the bouquet flowers. These are just like they come from the package. I really love this white of these flowers, even if you can color them with sprays, inks, or whatever. And I've done that in several different places. For example, here I've spritzed them with some lumberjack plaid oxide spray and spray stain to make them red, but I really enjoy their original color as well. And I thought here white fits really well, because we have the white snow here, the stars, and, you know, here's relatively much white. So that's what I'm trying to say. For this tree, I have, made some operations so that I could also glue this metal piece here. So let's do that step by step. This tree is just a half tree. So I have shaved the back of these little guys here off so that I could glue this down. And you can see it's just now only a half tree. When you cut those little bristles from the back, then you are able to glue that relatively flat to, for example, a journal cover like this, or another piece where you don't want to have too much bulk. You can just cut that with some scissors. And here I did in the first step exactly the same thing. I've cut the half of the tree off, and I mean the back, and then I've decided where I want to have this and I've cut this part from the tree out to make sure that this can lay on this window here without any problems. First I thought I can just go in here and remove the bristles from here, but that was too much, not enough, because in the middle of this tree there's a wire, and I couldn't press this down far enough to get it lay flat. So if you want to imitate something like this, make sure that you really cut this piece from the tree out, otherwise you would get problems, because this is, yeah, the wire is then in the way for this thing here. But this way it looks really cool. I think it looks like the tree is grown around this word Mary, and I really like that. For the closure, I have used a vintage key hole. Is that the word? I don't know, but you can see what this is, hopefully. So here it was supposed to put the key in, and of course this was not in this shape when I got this. I got that in a Happy Mail. And this is an original vintage piece with this really, really gorgeous paint that is on there in several layers. So this has been painted several different times in the past, obviously, and I really, really like this look. I have just made the holes that already have been in here a little bit bigger, so that I could make sure that these little guys fit through there. And then I have attached that to this piece of rusted fabric from Barbara. And I have then afterwards bent that to make it go around this corner here. This little guy here comes from the Idea-Ology collection as well. This has wishes. And this has a magnet, so you can just open it. Can you hear that? It's just a magnet. The magnet is hidden here below the fabric, there where my thumb is. And this here is just one of these Idea-Ology pieces as well. You know, it has a word on the back, and I think it said kisses or something like that, but I didn't want to show that here because I have the writing here, I have the wishes here, the writing here and there, and even here. So I decided to just glue it like so. So it's now upside down, and it's just, yeah, it only has the function to hold the magnet here. So then we can open this like so. And this journal has a total of 2 accordion folios in it.
And I want it all, from the lights to the mistletoe.